It is official. We have stumbled into a new era of print on demand and Etsy. In my 5 years with selling on Etsy, I have been looking at trends on a monthly and weekly basis. Now, what I've noticed recently is there has been a dramatic shift in the course of, I would say, months. That doesn't feel dramatic because it's been slowly changing how the Etsy landscape is. Today I was going to do a tutorial video over maybe creating a patterned product, and I was just researching the Etsy trends and algorithm, and I was just like, you know what? No, we need to talk about this new era of Etsy. So if you haven't already, don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more content like this, and check out my free crash course down below. If you're new to the world of print on demand and Etsy, I have a full A to Z walkthrough course, completely free. You can sign up for that in the links in the description down below. Without further ado, let's get straight into this video, guys, and talk about this new era of Etsy and get sales, right? So let's hop straight into it, guys. First of all, I feel like I should start this video off with a history. Once upon a time, print on demand was allowed on the Etsy algorithm, right? And during that time, a lot of people sold t-shirts, and that was like one of the biggest things that sold on Etsy. Then it migrated to other products as print-on-demand companies started to expand their catalogs. Now, why am I giving you the history of this? So when Etsy, I would say 5 years ago, when I began on Etsy, a lot of print-on-demand sellers and even handmade sellers alike, people used mock-up images that all looked the same. You would see the same mock-up image, just a different design and a different shop and a different seller across the board when you're scrolling and on search looking on Etsy as a customer, right? So in the recent year, we saw that there was a huge, I would say, news coverage of Etsy. Upon that news coverage of Etsy, there was a whole, I would say, negative angle on the print-on-demand sellers on Etsy, and that Etsy wasn't actually handmade, which is technically correct in a way, but technically in a way, I would say that it's just Etsy has migrated from handmade into something more of a creative space since they sell digital products, and then also there's print on demand now, handmade, what have you. So Etsy has kind of pulled away from the handmade space, which is I would say, a toss-up on how people feel about that. For me personally, I have always been a print-on-demand seller. I looked into selling handmade. It just wasn't realistic for me. That's the best way to say it. I was a healthcare worker full-time. There's no way I could really create and hand make items myself and ship them in time. When I was an on-call MRI technologist, I was working 50 to 60-hour weeks. And I think digital in the world of print-on-demand on Etsy has just opened the doors for so many people to have access to a additional income stream. And I get it. I get that there is a side of the coin that does not like print-on-demand sellers, okay? And CNN made a YouTube video, I would say more than a half a year ago, I want to say now. When CNN made that video on YouTube, they basically had, I would say, a very, like I said, it was in my opinion, a negative angle on Etsy, because as a print-on-demand seller, I have always created all my own designs. I have always done all of my own customer service in my business. When this video came out, I was just like, this is not a correct light in my opinion, and it doesn't show all sellers as a whole, because I am a small business. Just because I don't create my own products doesn't mean that I am not a part of my own business, doesn't mean I haven't put in work, blood, sweat, and tears, just like anyone else, right? So when the CNN YouTube video came out, what Etsy's response was to this video, and given it wasn't a direct response to this video, but I think so much negative backlash came onto the Etsy platform, a lot of people started almost boycotting it and not wanting to purchase off of it, because a lot of people just thought that they were buying products that were not made by a real person, or maybe that it was all being created by someone from China or a different area or country outside of the US, when that was not the case at all, right? Etsy came out with a video from the CEO, and I made a video on this a little while back about Etsy's new creativity standards, because they, and I personally still to this day think this was the best way Etsy could have addressed this issue, because I think Etsy for so long was ignoring the fact that there's digital sellers and print-on-demand sellers, and it was almost like there's only handmade here, which was incorrect because print-on-demand and Etsy digital sellers still existed. There was new Etsy creativity standards enforced. So now listings can show that they were designed by a seller rather than just maybe handmade by a seller. All this to say, why am I making this video? Why is this important? So due to all of the changes that we have seen, and I think that negative backlash from maybe, I would say, news agencies and news YouTube channels, and what we've kind of seen across the internet, Etsy has slowly but strategically made some changes that we absolutely need to talk about. What are those changes, Heather? You might be asking at this stage. I know. So the changes that have happened is, first off, Etsy is not using similar mockup or similar main photo thumbnail images in their search. They're not going to be showing a image that looks similar to another image on search near each other. That's one change that we have seen in the recent months that have unfolded. The second thing is Etsy is not showing the same product next to each other in most cases. So an example of this is if you look up mom t-shirt on Etsy, yes, you're going to see a bunch of t-shirts, but you may see a long sleeve, a sweatshirt, a hoodie sprinkled in, because Etsy wants their search results, they want their algorithm to look completely different and changed throughout its algorithm more than ever. And I've been saying it for a while now. I've always strived to create different products than the rest. What I mean by that is I have went into new product categories that not many people talk about on YouTube, given I try to bring those out in tutorials, of course. But this is the best time more than ever right now to create products that are different than the rest. So when it comes to mock-up images, this is one way that we can be slightly different. So given we can do a different mock-up image, we can do a different color variant, right? Again, Etsy's algorithm, its AI system is trying to make different images and basically a different catalog on Etsy, because technically when we sell on Etsy, we are adding to Etsy's catalog. It may feel like we're adding to our own shop's catalog, which we are, but in the grand scheme of Etsy, Etsy is only adding in your listing as a additional listing to its own catalog that it's going to present to the customer and give as a menu to the customer. And that customer is going to then decide what item they want to buy, and then they are going to click add to cart and hopefully buy. But this is all just to give the example that Etsy is looking to build a diverse catalog in 2025 and going forward. They are not looking to show the same exact product images. They're not looking to show the same exact designs or the same exact product types. So what you first off need to know before I go into this is you do not need to be entirely different than any other listing out there. But what you need to know is that different products are selling more, that different design styles and unique designs are selling more on Etsy. And on top of that, different types of print methods for print on demand are selling. So when we're talking about print methods, one of the most common print methods of print on demand is direct to garment printing. This is where ink is infused into the fibers of a t-shirt. Print on demand, since the history it's been on Etsy, it has sold primarily direct to garment printing. So now in this new era of Etsy, and what Etsy and the algorithm is finding that customers are searching heavily right now is unique types of prints. So what we're seeing coming about, so if you're a handmade seller, this is a really great avenue to jump into, right? Puff print. Puff print is a big printing method a lot of people are liking right now. Engraving for maybe tumblers, right? That is a method that people are really liking on Etsy. If you go into personalization drinkware right now, engraving is some of the top listings in tumblers right now is engraved products. On top of that, embroidery, and I am such on an embroidery kick right now, is not even funny, but embroidery is a new style that if you look on Etsy, the top page of just about every apparel search, you're going to find embroidery. This is the new era. New printing methods. On top of that, what I'm noticing as far as a new era of design trends, I think this is something we absolutely need to talk about, which I've seen in the past year that's kind of came about. So first off, croquet bows, that's a big one. Of course, we've seen that for a while now. Pattern overlays, that's a big one too. Florals, wildflowers, we've seen that for the history of Etsy, right? Florals have always trended well on Etsy. But we're seeing this in floral overlay type of prints on Etsy. Given a lot of the sellers who can do embroidery with maybe a pleat style of t-shirts and sweatshirts may have a easier time on the Etsy algorithm because that's a very unique and different product. But as print-on-demand sellers, we could always do floral embroidery types of graphics in our products to make ours a little bit unique and different as well, right? This is where, when it comes to photo images, so I want to talk about the new era of photo images that I'm seeing and kind of just discuss that for a moment, because I feel like I kind of went briefly through photo mockups and kind of images. So when it comes to this new era and kind of phase of Etsy that I'm seeing, so what I've seen as a new trend as far as image cards and the photos that sellers are using that's trending on Etsy is typically just a self-taken or seller-taken photo of their own product. It's not a highly produced image on Etsy. It's just maybe on a desk like I have here, or it is just them like taking a picture of it folded up on their bed, right? It's nothing highly produced or edited, and not like we've seen in the past where mock-up images on Etsy typically used to perform well. But again, I think that again, I'm gonna put the blame somewhere that it's deserved to be put. Temu and Shein. Okay, thank you, Temu and Shein. I'm just gonna say it. I don't complain often on this channel. I'm not a negative Nelly, but Temu and Shein have really kind of put a wedge, if you will, because I think it's not just Etsy as a whole, it's not e-commerce as a whole, it is customers realizing that they don't feel like they can trust every shop that they go on Etsy or every shop they find on the internet or website. They want real pictures. Customers are craving real. And I think by creating our own images, given, I want to say if you're a print-on-demand seller, that is pricey, right? But also for handmade sellers, that's pricey because you're usually creating your own inventory. So I think it's time, if you're a print-on-demand seller, to get into the mindset of, in order to really be different than the rest, be unique, and enter this market, this new market and this new era of products and product photos that we're seeing, you need to order samples and you need to take pictures of those samples. And it doesn't matter, like your iPhone, an Android device, the camera on those phones, I mean, it's almost as good as this camera I have. Even on my iPhone, it shoots in 4K, right? You can take a video of just your product and it doesn't have to be beautiful lighting. Like I said, photo images and photo mock-up images I'm seeing online are not perfect. They're not good lighting. They're just on something. Maybe it's during the day, they go outside and they put it on like the grass or something. It sounds so silly, but simple things like that, simple photos like that can go a long way. And it doesn't have to be, again, not even in 4K resolution. I mean, given that would help, but again, get into the mindset of working harder than the average seller, trying harder than the average seller, and you're going to see success in this kind of new era and phase of Etsy that we're seeing. If you want above average results, you have to put in above average effort. So this is what I'm personally doing in my Etsy shop, because it is not realistic for me, and even me who I make enough profit to put back into my business to buy samples, right? For me, I'm not going to order a sample of every single product that I create with print on demand. What I personally am doing is I am ordering a few different samples of different colors of my sweatshirts or t-shirts, maybe any types of other products that have engraving or embroidery. I will order maybe 3 products each, and I will order those in different colors, different variants, and I will put either personalization on that product or how a personalization would look. But what I've noticed as a very popular product photo mockup or even video mockup image is a slow pan video of maybe 3 different embroidered sweatshirts on top of each other or t-shirts next to each other. That's what I'm doing with this kind of new era and what I'm seeing as far as product photos on Etsy. Customers are very, very, very aware of AI right now more than ever. And that's what I want everyone to have a takeaway in this video is they're aware of AI, and if anything, they don't want perfect anymore. They don't want highly produced. They want to support the small business. And that's Etsy, right? At the core of Etsy, it's small business. So if you watch this video all the way through, I want you to write down below, this is going to be the best era yet, because you watched this video in full and you know how to go about your Etsy business in the upcoming years on Etsy and with this new era that we are seeing. So without further ado, don't forget to watch how to get sales fast on Etsy. I highly recommend that video. Again, it is for 2025 and forward, and how to get visibility, get seen, and hopefully get more sales in a faster way with the new changes we have seen on Etsy. So without further ado, I will see you all in the next video here.